I guess we came up with the idea because really Jamie is primarily like a vert contest rider, and it's kind of hard to make that look any different. We thought like maybe on top of a building or on an island or something, just somewhere original, set it up, and somehow we thought of doing it on the dry lake beds. You know, obviously it's not a cheap endeavor to get this thing out here, so worked with Tony Hawk and his guys, and just coincidentally they were kind of doing something very similar, so kind of worked hand in hand on that, and here we are. We're out here in the middle of a dry lake bed in California and sweating our balls off.
When we drove here, we just didn't expect like what was to come. You know, the bumpy road nearly blew out the shocks on the van.
This is a smooth road.
It was a work of art just getting into the actual place where we was going to film.
Right in the middle of this vast open space was just this wee speck of a ramp. It looked like a fingerboard ramp in the distance, but then actually when we got up close it was just a colossal monstrosity of a vert ramp.
You know, we had a short time frame to get the scene done. It was, you know, set up for a 2-day period, but we kind of didn't take into consideration it being on a weekend, and with that came a lot of people riding motorcycles and doing buggies and off-roaded vehicles. And
we all envisioned this very desolate place that was so barren and away from anything, and then what we got was like it was like Supercross the movie. Weird situation, you know, just idiots doing donuts and chopping up the dust, and then we get gusts of wind which would blow the dust everywhere. We'd be mopping the ramp every 30 minutes because the dust build-up got so bad. Like every day, all our stuff was covered in dust. After the first day, everybody went home with massive expectations of the next day. Like everybody was just like, you know what, tomorrow's the day. Like today was just a glitch, and tomorrow is going to be the day where we get everything done. We're going to be firing out, and just everybody went home that night with like this huge, like rallying the troops type, you know, feeling going on. And then we rolled up on Sunday, and same again. That gosh darn wind.
Jamie flew out his friend Jimmy Walker, so we had someone to ride with.
We were told that the wind usually is calm in the morning, so 6 a.m., put the pads on, start firing out tricks. Never rode that early in my life. I think the earliest I've ever ridden was 9, so to be here at 6 with Jamie on a ramp, middle of the desert, guessing if the wind's gonna kill you or not.
I was crazy to see him getting his bike and go 12 feet high in a ramp 6, 7 in the morning. I don't know how he can do that.
You know, basically 8 o'clock in the morning doing 15-foot high airs. Now by 9 o'clock doing fast pant flares. It's a bit nuts, seriously. Outrageous.
This is a regular occurrence during the filming of this video part. Anybody starts crying like, oh, why didn't he go 15 feet? Look at that. 15 feet in that. If you can do it, I'll give you my bike.
There was a few close calls when we were filming, just because we were rushing around trying to squeeze in a few shots during the gaps in the wind, and you know, communication wasn't always at its best, so you had to end up being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And sometimes he have to wait for a while. He's just sitting over there in the day waiting till the wind goes down. He goes so high, like a little bit of wind is like can mess him up a lot.
On top of all the challenges we had to overcome, there was this underlying fear of what happens if Jamie gets hurt. You know, we're in the middle of nowhere, hours from any kind of help. We'd have to get him airlifted. I know these concerns were playing on Jamie's mind.
There's a lot invested in this, a lot of time and money, a lot of people's work, and if it doesn't work out, my ass is grass.
We stayed until we could, and then we just called it a day. and then, you know, we started sweating it a bit.
Initially we were set up for 2 days and that was it was crunch time. Luckily, because the Tony Hawk guys are doing their thing out here, we were given 2 additional days.
They told us we could keep on filming on Monday because of the, you know, the sheer bad luck we encountered all weekend.
It was difficult trying to film the riding the best way you can and avoiding getting a 60-foot roll in or a 20-foot quarter pipe in the background of the shot, because we were trying to preserve the integrity of the original look. It wouldn't have made any sense if there was all this extra stuff there that he wasn't even riding.
We made a huge impact on filming on the 3rd day.
The camera crew were all skateboarders. For some, this was the first time they'd even filmed a bike rider. Usually skateboarders take a few attempts to make a trick, and the camera guy gets a chance to size up the best angle. This video part was completely different. You had to predict where he was going to be because he was pretty much wanting to do things as little as possible so that he can move on to the next trick.
And in between the time when we were able to shoot and the weather was okay and there wasn't bikes in the way, like, he landed his shit every try. Out of the 3 days, he didn't bail one trick.
Yeah, Jamie didn't fall.
Like, I've never filmed somebody that lands it every time. And he would do stuff first try.
The consistency,
so big, I didn't know how high he was gonna
was-
go. He would pop out the screen.
Consistency made it easier, but it also made it a little more difficult because he would sometimes only do things once or twice.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I think the funnest times were when the weather was bad and just you know, dealing with it, and everybody stayed so positive and we all tried to keep each other happy. Just the camaraderie between everybody. It was like a little family out in the desert. It was just one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of.
You know, 80-foot wide vert ramp in the middle of a dry lake bed is not a sight you see every day, so quite a spectacular thing, and I know, I think it's worked out really well, and hopefully the footage kind of does it justice.
There were a few tricks that Jamie definitely wanted to film, but we just couldn't get them out in the desert just because of time and crazy conditions. We tried to finish up his video part in Tony's warehouse down in Carlsbad, but even that was hit with disaster. Team manager jump over and Jamie was driving along and some guy pulls out and they get in a pretty heavy car accident. Luckily no one was seriously injured in the accident, but it definitely ruined Jamie's mind frame for the rest of the shoot, so we pretty much just opted to go for some contest footage, and it seemed more fitting anyway. The warehouse looked kind of dingy and just didn't really seem appropriate.
There's going to be times where I feel like I let myself down a little bit, and there's going to be times where I'm totally proud of everything I did. I think what some people won't see when watching this piece is the elements we had to deal with.
I know, man, all in all, it's been a really, really good experience. Everyone's stoked, and I'm really happy. It cost a fortune, but what are you going to do?